Hello everybody, this is Howard the TEASERKING coming to you with week 16 of the NFL. This is a very crucial week with the playoffs and positioning and trying to get the 1 and 2 seeds so you get the bye, and a lot of playoff implications. One thing I will warn you on, be careful of some teams that are like 6, 7, 8 win teams. They need a game to get maybe to the playoff or maybe win their division. And just because they need the game doesn't mean they're going to win it. Teams like New England who need to win for the 1 seed and get the bye, or maybe Seattle in their heyday, or the real strong team who needs to win for the 1 seed, they'll probably blow out. But the teams that the 7 and 7 team that needs the game, you can't trust them unless the matchup's good. You can't play the game. You can only play the game if it matchups good. If you play it in week 4, play it now. But don't play a game now just because they need it for the playoffs and expect them to win. And you'll get wrong favorites. A team who wouldn't be favored is all of a sudden favored because they need it for the playoffs. So all the spreads are a little adjusted for that. So keep that in mind also. You want to take into that account and then still look at the matchup and then go from there. Again, all my picks from this week through the Super Bowl, it's probably 6 weeks, right? This week and next, and then 4 weeks of playoffs would be 600 if you bought 100 a week. It's 250. Merry Christmas for the rest of the year. That's all you would have to pay. College bowls, I hit a lock New Mexico, and I hit 3 other games, so I'm 4-0 in the college. So again, you get all the bowls and the playoffs, whatever locks, of course, for $100. I mean, that's a very good price for as many bowls as there are there. And again, I'm 4-0, so I'm cooking there. So let's get into the game. First game is Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Here you have New Orleans 3-point favorite. They just played a few weeks ago. Tampa beats them 16-11. New Orleans needs the game if Washington and Green Bay. If Washington and Green Bay lose, then New Orleans still is mathematically in. And they play at 4:30, where Washington and Green Bay play at 1. So at kickoff, New Orleans is going to know we're out, or we still have a mathematical chance, but they're still, not a very good. Then they got to do it again next week. So they might think they have a chance, but they know they probably don't. Tampa Bay needs it. They're fighting Atlanta. Let's look at the matchup. Now this is really the meat of how the TEASERKING executes his picks. This method is just simply the teams play each other twice. I track it. Here they are in a teaser. Okay, the game's in New Orleans, the game's in Tampa. Who's favored? Who's the dog? How do they do? And I look for the trend. And it's a very, very powerful method because they play each other twice a year. It gives you very good insight. And like a couple weeks ago, picking the Giants over Dallas, that was a dog series. Last week, San Diego, Oakland was a dog series. So you play the dog in that series because the trend for the last, I go back 5 years, 7 years, and 10 years. It includes playoff games. So I'm looking at the trend, how these 2 teams play each other. And I know you get a little different. Dak Prescott comes in and Ezekiel Elliott for Dallas, and Giants get a few new players, but the bulk is still Dallas and the Giants, and the same result, the dog, boom, the dog wins. And that's why I do it. And it's a very, very powerful tool. One of the most powerful that I've seen variables to predict these games, and that's probably a big reason. It's probably the biggest reason that I excel at this. But I had to figure it out. It was, when you first start out, you're just shooting arrows in the dark, and then you start asking questions, and this is where I am really successful. Not only do I have the skill to look at the players and understand who's good and bad, but I also understand what variables are important and what do I look at to try to predict. And this is what I found to be really the best thing. So let's look at this game. New Orleans, Tampa. Games in New Orleans. Tampa's 5-2. The Dogs 5-2 since '09. The Dog in the series is 11-4. Tampa 9-4 as the Dog. We go back to 2005. Tampa's 9-2. The Dogs 9-2 in New Orleans. New Orleans is 7-4. As the Dog, Tampa's 13-4. The Dog in the series is 19-4 because we locked New Orleans last time this game was played as the Dog because they're a great dog in the series also. And finally, since 2011, New Orleans and the favorite are 4-1 in New Orleans. Tampa and the Dog are 3-2. Again, the Dog is 9-2, with Tampa being 7-2 as the Dog. So what you have here is pretty much of a dog series. Let's dig into just looking at the normal trends. Tampa Bay as a road dog is 6-1 this year. Bet against them 2-5, and you saw them play Dallas really tough. That was one of my picks, Tampa over Dallas. Let's look at New Orleans as a home favorite. It's 3-2. If you bet against them, 4-1. So New Orleans at home does not blow out teams. They play close games. They lost to the Lions at home, and they lost to Tampa. So against these strong defensive teams, they're having problems. Let's go back to 2015 and 16. Tampa Bay 12-3, 80% is a road dog, 7-8 against, which means only 7 times out of the 15, if you took the other team, did you win. So you 8 of the times you lost, which means Tampa goes on the road and wins. New Orleans, home favorite, last 2 years, 6-5, 55%. Go against them, 9-2, 82%. We'll go back one more year, 14. Tampa Bay's 18-5, 78% as a road dog. New Orleans 9-10 as a home favorite, 16-3, 84% if you go against New Orleans as a home favorite. 16-3 against. They're at home, they stink. They don't win, they don't cover. They might win, but they don't. You can bet against them, let's say, and you're going to win. So there's your overall trend. In the series, it's a dog. Overall, Tampa's a really good road dog, and New Orleans is not a very good home favorite. They're a bet against home favorite. If you have a good road dog playing a weak home favorite who you bet against, so you'll love that. You've got the strength against strength. They're weak as a home favorite, and you got a strong road dog. Sometimes when I have trouble, I have a weak home favorite, but I have a weak road dog. Like San Francisco is a terribly weak road dog. So if they were playing it, it's like you're still handcuffed. But here I got what I want, a bad home favorite against a strong road dog. The over-under on the game is 52.5, and I'm lost with over-unders this weekend. Last weekend, my locks, Detroit under with the Giants was beautiful, and Atlanta over with the Niners was beautiful. Those very strong over-under plays. This week, I think I found one or two, and I don't think I'm playing any. I get an over team against an under team, and I'm not sure how it's going to happen. Like here, Tampa Bay, New Orleans. New Orleans obviously is an over team with Breeze and a weak defense, and Tampa Bay is more of an under team because their defense has been playing really well, and Winston's okay. So I don't know. I wouldn't even dream of playing the over-under here. I think you'd play it under because you just played a 16-11 game. But I'm not even going to go there. I like the fact I got Tampa Bay in 9. Now we look at the playoff scenario. Tampa Bay needs the game to stay with Atlanta. New Orleans is going to probably be out of it. Either Washington or Green Bay, probably a win. And I'll get to that in part 2. They'll probably win, and New Orleans will probably be out of it. So now I got a team, Tampa, who has to win against New Orleans, who's probably done. They probably are eliminated by either Green Bay or Washington winning. And I got a very motivated Tampa team who just went to Dallas and played them tough. And, they moved on Dallas's defense, which is a lot better than New Orleans. So I expect maybe a little higher scoring game here, but I expect Tampa probably to win the game, and I got 9 points here. So the first bet is take Tampa in 9. The trends are there. I don't see any major injuries. They need it for the playoffs. They need it either for the division or the wild card. Either way, Tampa needs the game. New Orleans probably out of it, especially being at a 4:30 game. They'll know their fate. So take Tampa plus the 9. Game 2, Green Bay, Minnesota. Another, I get to go to my trends and figure it out. Okay, Green Bay 6.5, 43. Peterson's knee's hurting. He didn't do anything. They stunk against Indy. So if they have a weak secondary against Indy, what are they going to do against Aaron Rodgers? Temperature's not too bad. Not that that matters. At the end of the day, you got Diggs, maybe plays. Peterson's very questionable. Even if he does play, he hasn't played in 3 months. His knee can't possibly be ready. He can't possibly go 40 carries in this game. And if Green Bay gets ahead, he's out of it anyway. It looks like Minnesota's defense has problems because look what Indy did to it with luck. So now let's look into the matchup. 6.5, 43. Minnesota's an under team. Green Bay's an over team. I'm canceled again. Last game was like 17-16 or 19-17. Very tight game. Minnesota won it in Minnesota. Different cast. I think Peterson played in that game. Let's look at the trends head-to-head, which I love. Green Bay, Minnesota. In Green Bay since 2011. Green Bay's 5-1. The favorite's 5-1. Green Bay, as the favorite, is now 10-1 in the series. And Minnesota is 9-2 as the dog because they won as the dog, but Green Bay won as the favorite. The beauty of teasers. When people say, I bet straight, I don't want to bet teasers, or do you make the game straight, it's really, they don't understand that if you play a teaser in half of these NFL games, you can play either team and win because they're close, and that's where the 6 points is huge. Normally you like to look for good, you get a favorite from 6 to even or 7 to 1, under 3, and then you get the dog that's like a 1.5, 2, 3 point dog, and you kick it up to 8 or 9. Your odds on winning went from 50-50 to about 90-10. And I'm showing you here, here's Green Bay. They're 10-1 as the favorite in this series since 2011. I mean, now if you played it straight, you think it's 10-1? I don't know. I only care about the teaser because this is what I figured out. And this is the point. I've been doing these since 1977. I win every year. If I didn't win at it, I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't say, hey, let's do teasers, because I could then go ahead with my analytical and mathematical background. I could figure out it's better to play them straight. You don't need the teaser. But what I'm figuring is just the opposite. In the teaser, all I got to do is play a teaser in half the game. I got a winner, and then I figured out which side to play, and then it's even, bingo. There we go. So the people that don't bet teasers are missing out, and I don't know why they don't. You're going to pick 2 games anyway, so you might as well put them in a teaser together, and you get the extra 6 points, turns the 50-50 proposition into an 80, 90, 95% proposition. There's Green Bay 10-1. That's what, 90-some percent, not 50-50. And, you want odds, so play a 5-team teaser. Play a 7-team. I hit an 11-team teaser, a 10-team teaser. I hit a 10-team teaser with a friend this year. I keep missing by 1 on these 11-team teasers I'm playing. In Vegas, I hit a 10-team and 11-team, or for $20-30 I can win $500-600. Oh, you want more? Okay, bet 100 and win a couple thousand. I mean, but if that's what you're after is to hit the big odds, to hit the lottery ticket, then play a 10-team teaser. I mean, for $50 you get $1,500. For a 10-11 team teaser. Anyway, so there's the beauty of it. So Green Bay's 10-1 in the series. Minnesota is 4-2 in Green Bay, and the Dogs 4-2. Since '09, everybody's 6-2 in Green Bay. So the trends go back, and that's what I see in the trend. Farther out trends was all 6-2, so you can see Green Bay has been dominating the last from 09 to 011 or to 011. But Green Bay as the favorite is 12-2, and that still is true, so it's still true. The dog is Minnesota's the dog's 10-3. So again, it's a little bit more favorite. So Green Bay will win probably by 10 points, something like that. If we go back to 05, everybody's 9-3 in Green Bay, which means you take either team, you're 9-3. Green Bay is 17-3 as the favorite. So sometimes when Green Bay lost, there could have been injuries to Rodgers or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're 9-3, but as the favorite, it's still holding true. They're 17-3 as the favorite in the series. They know how to play Minnesota. Now let's go to my other trends. Green Bay this year is a home favorite, 4-2, but they've had a lot of injuries. Minnesota is 3-0, and what you'll see is Minnesota is one of the strongest road dogs in football. Since 2015. Green Bay's 9-5, but you had injuries. 11-3 against. Minnesota 9-0 as a road dog. Minnesota plays the road dog well. Green Bay 18-5 since 2014 as a home favorite. Minnesota 16-1 as a road dog. Just an incredible team. We'll go back one more year. Now Green Bay's 23-7, 77% as a home favorite. Minnesota 22-4 as a road dog. So what it shows you is Minnesota is a great road dog, but you have to look at the series. And as I pointed out in the Dallas Giant game, if you just looked at that trend, you would have played Dallas and you would have lost. That's why you got to play the team versus team. And when you play the team versus team, it says Green Bay as the favorite should cover. They've done it 17 out of 20 times. That's 85%. That's what you want. You've got Peterson banged up. You've got Bradford. The defense looks hurt because of their, Andrew Luck ripped them for how many, 5 touchdowns. What do you think Rodgers is going to do to them? Green Bay at home for a playoff game. They need to win this one. I think even if the Lions win, if Philly wins and Dallas doesn't play and the Lions win, Green Bay still has to win to stay a game back. Then they play in Detroit the next week. Then they can take care of business. So Green Bay has to win this game no matter what. Even for a wild card, they lead in the wild card, but they're not going to lead if they lose. Tampa Bay will be back as the wild card if they beat New Orleans. So must win for Green Bay. Minnesota 7-7. That goes back to the point I was talking about. Do you really trust the 7-7 team? If they're so good, how did they get blown out by Indy last week? And so therefore, you've got a team that's 7-7 that has to win on the road at Green Bay in a series where Green Bay normally wins. This is one place Minnie as a road dog doesn't come through, or maybe they've been a road favorite here a few times and didn't win it. But yes, Minnie is a great road dog, but I don't see it here. I see Green Bay winning the game. They have to. They're at home. Rodgers is healthy. Well, with the calf, he was healthy enough last week. I mean, they scored 30 on the Bears. So you had that. So I just think that Green Bay at home gets the win. I don't know by how much. Probably, like I said, 6-7 points, maybe 10. Somewhere where Minnesota will probably cover as the road dog, but Green Bay will probably win the game. And there you go. You could probably just bet a teaser on the game. But I like Green Bay at home having to win in a series where they are dominant as the favorite over Minnesota. When they're favored in this series, they win it. So that's what you're looking for. It's funny. I had to laugh last week. I had locked Indy against Houston, and Indy loses to Houston. And I'm watching the game, and here's Indy up 50 points on Minnesota. And here you got Houston at home in a must-win game losing to Jacksonville. And I'm going, how could they, where was that last week when they were playing Indy? How did they beat Indy? and here they're losing to Jacksonville. Fortunately, I had Houston last week as a lock, and Houston got the W. But, I mean, it was like, you got to be kidding with Jacksonville. So, anyway, I have 2 locks going. I will have 2 more after tonight's game. So I got to see what happens with the Giants and Philly. Theoretically, I'm hoping the Giants only win by a point. I hope they don't win by a lot. Let's put it that way. If the Giants win, Dallas has to win, and I'll have 4 locks if that happens. I have a lock in college going. I hit 5 locks last week. New Mexico, the Lions under. Buffalo betting against Cleveland. Houston betting against Jacksonville, and the Atlanta over. This is funny. One of my clients goes, "Oh, okay, we're in. We just got to get Atlanta over." I said, "Don't worry. Frisco gives up 30 a game." And we had the over almost at halftime. It was like 28-13. It was 41, and in a teaser, all we needed was 45. So we needed 4 points in the second half. But it's just funny how, it's just, you got to just trust it. This week's extremely tough on over-unders. I mean, the only over-unders I kind of see is like maybe the Houston game, and maybe I really don't even know. Maybe Denver, Kansas City, but that over-under is 38. That's kind of hard to go under 44. You never know what happens in that game. Keep an eye on the injuries. The best place I saw is CBS Sports has an injury section by team, and it tells you questionable, doubtful, out, and it tells you did they practice, limited, or they full practice, they limited practice, or didn't practice. And to me, if the guy's questionable and he limited practice, he's playing. The only guy who's, and then sometimes like Aaron Rodgers didn't practice, but he doesn't, he's doing it to rest his calf. So he played last week, so I'm not really worried that he's too injured, and he knows how to play a little injured. Anyway, there's your picks. Take Tampa as the dog, a live dog in a series it's a dog series where they just beat the team, New Orleans 16-11, and you take Green Bay minus a half or even, whatever it is, against Minnesota in a series that Green Bay dominates. And I mean, that's basically the best way you can analyze these games, and that's how I do it. And that's how I'm successful, because I figured out this is the most meaningful variables that you can get is personality of the team, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. So again, that's your pick. Again, watch the timing. If the Giants win, Dallas has to win. You jump on Dallas. If Philly wins, Dallas is the 1 seed. And then you got to listen, and you assume they're going to rest Prescott, and they don't want to get Elliott hurt, and half their team will sit out because they don't want to get him hurt. Romo will play in his last home game because, he's Romo. So you got all this going on, resting the players, and then it makes Detroit a live bet, because Detroit has to win no matter what. So there you go. So watch, as you get that result, and the same thing with the Tampa game, as I'm predicting Green Bay is going to win. So if Green Bay wins, now here comes New Orleans, Tampa. New Orleans is eliminated. Now you got Tampa in 9. Boom. There you go. So anyway, 2 locks, probably 4 locks this week. Again, waiting for the result tonight. And a lot of other good picks. My record now on my teaser pick is 144 and 34, 80%. One of my customers last week says you hit 91% last week, and he was all excited. And I'm like, yeah, hopefully I can't do that every week. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, I get hot. Well, I mean, I got the trends. The problem's been, well, in the pros there hasn't been a problem because I've been 80% all year, but the picks get easier when they're New Orleans, Tampa playing versus New Orleans and San Francisco, where you don't have they don't play each other twice a year. And for whatever reason, the NFL puts all these matchups at the end of teams playing, in the division. Now my trends are there. But you know, there was a couple weeks I didn't have any trends, so it makes it hard. And then I try to look for similar matchups. Like when Detroit played New Orleans, I looked at how they played Green Bay because of the, you know, Breeze and Rodgers, and that gave you a flavor of what to expect there. So anyway, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Good luck in the bowls. Good luck in the NFL. Wish everybody makes a lot of money. www.teaserking.com. Again, take New Orleans, take Tampa Bay +9, Green Bay even. Probably about a 7-unit play, not a lock. Very strong play. New Orleans, great road dog. I apologize. Tampa Bay, great road dog. New Orleans, bet against home favorite. Green Bay, a very good home favorite. Minnesota is a very strong road dog, but just in this matchup, you got to go with Green Bay to win the game. And that's what I say about the point spread. If this spread was 14 points, I'd take Minnesota. You know, if it was 10, I'd probably take Minnesota. But at 6, and I got Green Bay even, just win leads you on to Green Bay. So the point spread is everything in this game, and you got to be careful with it. All right, everybody, good luck. Happy holidays. It's the Teaser King.